Hi, welcome back to Leaders Speak, a series at Stories at Work, where I interview leaders from different fields and ask them to share experiences from their life which has shaped opinions they have. Today, I'm in conversation with Prakash Iyer, who is a leadership trainer, motivational speaker, and an author. I asked him to share an opinion he has and what has shaped it. And the opinion he had was that companies have rules for a reason, and it's the leaders that need to explain these rules to people. I asked him what happened, and this is what he said.
Another story that I want to share with you is something that happened in my first few days as a management trainee at a company that you and I are familiar with, Hindustan Lever in those days. I was doing my sales officer stint, which really meant that I was living in a small town called Salem in Tamil Nadu, and my boss, my mentor, my guru, I was a guy called John Aravamutham, and John was to visit Salem to kind of check out how I was doing, check my progress, and I remember we spent the whole day for the first half of the day trying to see if we could sell a little more shampoo to those retailers in Salem. And then in the afternoon, we went to the warehouse, which is where we were trying to understand what happened. And he was asking me questions. We went through lots of stuff. So we had a long day. I thought it went all right. And in the evening, he said, "Come, let's have dinner together." So we were sitting down and having dinner. And that's where my story actually starts to get interesting, because we had a dinner and he was trying to ask me. I thought I learned a lot. I was asking him lots of questions. There was also this little bit of awe about this big company that we've joined, but we don't really know too much about, because you're stuck in a small town in Salem and you're not really knowing what you've heard big stuff. And then, of course, after what was a fairly long dinner, because it's Salem and I'm the guy based out there, I thought I'm like this, this good host and the bosses come to see me. And the dinner ends, and, in the manner of two friends almost, when the waiter's about to come, I try and indicate to him, give me the bill. I'll take the check. After my boss is here and I can take it. So I say, give me the check. And John says, no, I'll take it. And I say, no, John, let me pay it. Now, I'm aware that it doesn't really matter, because whether he pays or I pay, the company's going to pay the bill anyways. But I want to be this good host out there. And I say, no, John, I'll take it. I'm one of those young, not very often that you can now start charging your expenses to a company. Think about that. So John says, no. He says, I'll tell you, I'll take it. And then he says to me, the rule is that the senior most person on the table picks up the tab. And I think, one more of those rules, and how does it really matter? And why should this be a privilege for the senior most person? Because at the end of the day, and I know that the company is going to pay for it. And of course, the check arrives and he kind of pays. And then he tells me, why the senior most person has to pay? I said, no, tell me why. And John then explained to me that if the senior most person on the table pays, then that bill will go for approval to somebody who's not enjoying that meal. And that person has a right to approve or not approve the spend. And he said, if you spent it, if I let you charge it, what would happen? Your expense statement would come to me. I would sign it off. And there would be really no problem. And I would have signed off my own spend. He says, that is something that you never do. And in good financial prudence requires us to say that, look, make sure that the person who's spending or who's enjoying the benefit of that spend does not get to approve it. And I think, as I think of all this, that I think of Hindustan Lever and the culture and those simple rules on financial integrity, I think of this little incident and I say, hey, it's important for us to remember, no matter how big you are, you don't approve your own spend. You actually allow someone else to do it. Never mind who you are in that organization. But that was only the first of two lessons that I learned out of that, I think, because the second thing I learned is that if there is a rule that makes an organization great, it's easy to say, this is how we do it, or that's the way it's always done. I think that's a very poor way to run an organization. And I think organizations like Hindustan Lever get great because there are people like John out there telling young people, why do we do it this way?
What a beautiful story. You would agree that if Prakash had just said that companies have rules for a reason and it's the onus and the responsibility of leaders to explain those reasons to every newcomer, you would have said, yeah, that's a good idea, but promptly forgotten. But now that Prakash has told the story, you'd probably remember it far longer. What a wonderful way to drive home a point and make it memorable. I hope all of you are building your story bank and your story repertoire. Yeah. And if you like this story, then hop over to our YouTube channel. We have some wonderful stories there, lots of them. We have two huge playlists. One is the Leaders Speak playlist, where we have leaders like Prakash sharing many stories from their life. Then we have the Story Bank series, where I share stories to help you build your story bank. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe, because we put in at least 2 stories every week and you'll get an alert when it's there. Thanks for watching and see you next week. Till then, take care and stay safe.